name's Peter Bowman and welcome to the first episode of Employed to Financial Freedom. Who should watch this and what can you hope to get out of it? Well, what I hope you can get out of it is a shortcut to success. I'm going to be sharing things in this video series about my journey from employment to financial freedom, things that I wish I knew about before I started, things that could have potentially sped up my journey, and my intention by sharing that is to ideally speed up your journey. My journey started with someone being willing to share just very openly and very rawly in a way that it enabled me to see her as just a standard human being instead of having property investors and developers that had achieved financial freedom up on a pedestal and thinking, you know, they can do it, but I can't do it. And it was in that sharing, in that honesty, in that integrity that I was able to see, hey, if she can do it, I can do it. And I'll be forever grateful for that. So my hope is that I can be that person for some of you and actually kickstart that journey for you. What will I be sharing during this? I'll be sharing the ups and downs. I'll be sharing breakthroughs, breakdowns, lots of mistakes that I made along the way. So hopefully you can avoid making those mistakes. And ultimately how I went from being a full-time employee to being financially independent. And over the last few years doing, including current deals, doing over $50 million in real estate transactions, moving my family over to Switzerland for 18 months to have a holiday, and just having the most amazing time over there, and ultimately having the freedom to make our own choices. And for me, that's what it's about. For everyone, it's different. For you, it might be the fancy cars, it might be the epic houses, it might be the planes and the Learjets and all the rest of it. For me, it's freedom of choice. I'm not a particularly fancy person, don't get me wrong, I like fancy things, but for me, the freedom of choice is by far the most important thing. So who was I before all of this, and what was I doing? Did I have any magic sauce? Did I have special skills that gave me an unfair advantage? The answer to that is absolutely not. A brief history of me beforehand was I graduated high school in 2003. My dream at that time was to play indoor volleyball professionally. I pursued that dream. I realised that dream around 2007, 2008. I played a season in the second Dutch league in Holland and had an amazing time. Also decided that was no longer my dream. So I came back to Australia, finished my university, did nothing in university that related to property, and then I basically realised, hey, I've got a management degree. What am I a manager of? Nothing. So start from scratch again, and went into direct sales. I was doing in-home sales of solar hot water systems, solar panels, energy efficient lighting, all that sort of thing. Did that for about 3 years, then got into transport and logistics. Knew nothing about transport and logistics, had to learn on the job. I started in sales and moved into operations, then moved into management. And it was during my time there in that corporate environment that I actually started getting traction. Maybe because I realized that that was definitely not the path I wanted to follow. But one of the key realizations that I got at that time, which if you're taking notes, definitely write this down, that is I was spreading myself across many things. My theory was that if I was trying all of it, something would surely take off and then I would just focus on that. So I was learning how to do an online business. I was learning how to trade shares. I was learning how to invest in property, how to develop property, working full time. I was now also in a serious relationship and God knows what else I was trying to do, and I was getting nowhere with any of it. It wasn't until that penny dropped that I realized that I needed to focus on one thing and one thing only that I actually started seeing results. For me, that was property. I decided there and then, that's it. I didn't wind down other things. I didn't make up a bunch of stories about I'll gradually phase the other things out. I just dropped it. That website for that online business is still there. I wouldn't have a clue of how to access it, but it's still there. The Facebook page is still there. I just stopped and gave all my energy and all my focus to real estate. Almost immediately, I started seeing results. I got my first deal. And then a few years later, I was unemployed by choice and never been back to a job since, financially free. So the same can be true for you. The number one thing is you've got to focus. That's the first takeaway from this video. The next key takeaway from this clip is, what's the reason you're doing it? Now, most people roll their eyes when they get asked that. Why? Well, obviously, they just go, well, everyone wants to be rich. Everyone wants to be financially free. Yeah, that's true. Everybody does want it, but very few people need it. And there is a crucial difference between those things. Wanting something is like a wish list. That's like saying, I want this for Christmas, and you hope Santa delivers it to you. Well, this part of life works very, very different. It's not a wish list. It's got to be a clear goal, something that is clearly defined, that you are determined and committed to working towards. And I wasn't. That's the truth. I wanted it. It was my wish list. I got taken to a seminar for the first time when I was about 15 years old. My father took me, it planted the seed. I knew that there was another way. I didn't end up following the same strategies as that person, but at least got my mind started. But what also happened was, because I was 15, my mindset was, geez, I'm so far ahead of everyone else. Look how young I am in this room. I've got ages. 5 years passed, 10 years passed, going to lots of seminars, still stuck in that same mindset, until one day, I was about 28, the penny dropped that, geez, I've been doing this for 13 years and I've still done nothing. I'm not so young anymore. I'm not so much younger than everyone else in the room. I'm no longer ahead. It was also at that time that I proposed to my wife, which, at least in my mind, put a deadline on things, because we were very different risk profiles, and to get started then versus getting started once I had a mortgage and we had kids and all the rest of it, it was going to be much easier to start then. So for me, that was it. It's like, wow, I've got to do it now. And the moment that decision was made that I'm doing it now, things began to shift. So see that decision to succeed and decision to focus, two crucial pieces to the puzzle. Very soon I had my first deal. Very soon I was on the journey to financial freedom. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't a smooth ride. There were plenty of ups and downs, and I'll certainly be sharing those with you. So in the next episode, I'm going to take you through that first deal, how I got it, what went well, what went horribly, how did I deal with the neighbour from hell, how did I deal with the local politician from hell, how did I get around the fact that I had people working in council against me, trying to manipulate the outcome of the project. All of those things. It was literally like a soap opera in my first deal, and geez, what a welcome that was to property development. So I'm going to share that all with you in the next episode, and I'm going to share with you how I overcame those things so that you can do the same things, and how you can ideally avoid those things. So if you'd like to learn more, you'd like to see how to move from employment to financial freedom, keep watching, turn up for the next episode, make sure you click subscribe, and if you have any specific questions, please add the comments. As much as I can, I will answer your questions, and I will respond to comments, and if it's a big topic, I'll include it in the videos, or I'll do some separate content. My vision here is that this is a pebble in the pond. We have an epidemic going on at the moment where far too many people are dependent on the government and other agencies for financial security, and it just doesn't need to be that way. So with every single one of you that achieves financial freedom, you are now another person that can teach someone else. So please be another pebble in the pond, and I will do the best I can to help you get those tools.